The Brain Scorcher was a former military installation located within the zone that produced psi emissions, effectively mind-controlling anyone who came in the vicinity of it. After its deactivation, the Ukrainian military began initiating a full-scale invasion of the Chernobyl Nuclear Power Plant, attempting to take it by force from monolith forces. Before a full-scale attack was to take place, the military devised a plan called Operation Fairway. Under the command of Colonel Kowalski, 5 advanced Mi-24 gunships carrying a crew of military stalkers were sent in to establish a foothold within Chernobyl. Their mission was to create maps of the territory, detailing anomalous field locations. By making use of the maps, the main Ukrainian military force could be dispatched, avoiding any anomalous fields, which would be catastrophic to the invasion. The gunships, designated STINGRAY, all crashed during the operation. With the operation a failure, the military sent me into the zone to find out what happened to the crashed helicopters and find any survivors. My name is Major Degtyarev, and I am undercover posing as another loner in search of valuable artifacts from within the zone. Zaton, also known as Backwater, is a swampy zone outside of Pripyat. There are a few industrial factories in the vicinity, along with grounded boats and tankers. The swampy and highly contaminated water makes up most of the zone. I was able to reach the trade hub Skadovsk, located in an old tanker in the middle of the swamps of Zaton. This is mostly where the loner factions of stalkers call home, shared by some other shady characters. If I am going to find the crashed helicopters, I'll need to do some missions for some of the locals. The zone is an unforgiving place, and without the proper equipment, food, and medical supplies, I won't last very long. The military thought it would be a dead giveaway if I entered the zone armed to the teeth, and so I'm out here to fend for myself while I complete my mission. Sultan was the leader of the bandit faction in the zone, always causing trouble for Beard, the leader of the loner stalker faction. The zone is no place to play favorites. If I'm going to make enough money to purchase the right equipment to get me further into the zone, then I'll work for anyone who will pay me. I approached Sultan about a job. Being a newcomer in the zone, he said I would need to prove that I could be trusted. In return, he would offer me some respect among the bandits and some money for my trouble. When I accepted the job, Sultan began to tell me that some of Beard's men were holed up in this abandoned tanker called Shevchenko, not far from Skadovsk. Sultan wanted to take them out and steal all of their possessions. Knuckles, his second in command, was the one leading the mission, and so he directed me to him for the details. Seeing that it might even be more beneficial to tell Beard of this impending attack, I decided to discuss the job with him to see what he might offer in return, instead of helping the bandits. When I approached Beard and told him of the attack, he asked me to accept the Sultan's offer. Beard said he would tip off his guys and make sure they were armed and ready for any surprises. Instead of Sultan sticking up Beard's men would be sticking up the bandits. A nice little twist to this story. I approached Knuckles and told him that I would help the bandits fleece the loners. Knuckles wanted me to meet his crew after midnight outside of Shevchenko, but I figured it would be best to travel together. Seeing how Beard's men would be heavily equipped, the best course of action might be to help them and turn on the bandits from behind. Alternatively, if the bandits were to succeed, there might be even better loot to acquire. It was a tough choice and one that needed some thought. In the end, this is how it all went down.
Будет знать! Крысам не хватило остаться. Тебе посадить?
I received 2,100 rubles from Knuckles after deciding to side with the bandits. I figured the loot on the corpses of the dead stalkers would add up to much more than what the bandits were carrying. The money would help, but I was going to need a lot more of it to purchase any high-grade equipment to get further into the zone and find out what happened to those helicopters. I stocked most of the gear I acquired from that last job in my room to sort through later, and headed back to Sultan to see if he had any more work. Apparently Knuckles was meeting with a trader later that evening, and my job was to provide extra security so their transaction goes down smoothly. Knuckles was located at the ranger station, which was just a little ways southeast of Skadovsk. When I approached him, he told me to keep an eye out, but otherwise just sit tight while the transaction took place. The bandits began walking slowly into the warehouse where the deal was going to happen. As I walked into the warehouse, I noticed that the trader was someone who belonged to the Duty faction. Knuckles was selling artifacts in exchange for some weapons and equipment. The trader named Morgan was selling anything Duty had to offer, which mostly consisted of high-end gear. Before the negotiations could continue, a group of stalkers somehow must have followed us to the meet. No one expected what was going to happen next. After the chaos was over and the bodies were looted, I approached Knuckles for my reward. He handed me 5,650 rubles and the location of a hidden stash in the zone. Knuckles and his men began clearing out, and I began making my way back to Skadovsk to sell the low-end gear I recently acquired but wouldn't use. Bartering between Beard and Owl took some time, but I was able to sell some guns and other items that were of poor quality, too expensive to repair. A bed was beginning to call my name as I walked up the stairs to the room where I could get some rest. So far, I've survived day 1, but my mission has only just begun. As I venture further into the zone, there is no telling what misery awaits me.